What's up, everybody? Good morning and a happy Wednesday. Making a turn already on this week. Coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios this morning. Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in. If it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also online at sportstalk1051.com. You can stream it up over there. You got your smart devices, smart speakers. The app, download that, take it on the go. Video streams are also up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. But a happy Wednesday morning to you all. What do we got on our good old game plan for us this morning? Well, we are 1 day away from the NBA trade deadline. The NBA trade deadline tomorrow, and rumors and rumblings starting to pick up right now, specifically surrounding the Bucks. Couple of new names attached to some rumors out there is Kyle Kuzma from the Washington Wizards. There's various reports out there that the Bucks are chatting with the Wizards about Kyle Kuzma that would send Chris Middleton over there. That's one rumor being floated out there. And then there's a big one. There's a big one that was kind of floated out there, but odds makers, Vegas odds makers and such, have the Bucks as one of the top teams potentially land this player, and that would be one Kevin Durant from the Phoenix Suns. So there's some rumblings out there that could the Suns be potentially looking at moving Kevin Durant, and if so, there's been some teams that have been possibly thrown out there as places he could go to. Warriors have the top odds, which I mean that's probably not a big surprise out there, considering he's very familiar with them. And then there's been reports that the Warriors have been trying to get another superstar, but the Bucks are also up there too. The Bucks are one of the top teams in terms of odds out there to acquire Kevin Durant. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know how much, that would work in terms of salaries, because I know you got to get, the second apron and such. So I'm not going to pretend to like, oh, you could do this, this, and this to acquire him and fit him under. I tried doing the NBA trade machine this morning to figure that out, and I kept getting rejected because I was in the second apron and all that. So it's like, okay, probably going to have to involve 3-4 teams total in this thing. But the fact that a lot of odds makers out there right now have the Bucks as one of the top teams is potentially maybe acquiring KD before the deadline, I'm still skeptical of that. But maybe just kind of keep a little bit of an open mind over there. But what are your thoughts on that, Bucks fans potentially acquiring KD? That would probably take, Middleton and a Portis and, a lot of other things there. But then you'd have your three with Giannis, Dame, and KD. I know the next question is probably going to be, is there enough ball to go around between those three? And that's a legit question. That's a very legit question at this point in time. And maybe they're they're veterans. Kevin Durant's been in the league, was it 17 years already? They said, geez Louise. I know he's won some championships. Giannis has won one. Dame is still looking for his first. So, I mean, you would imagine maybe at this point they're like, whatever it takes to win another one. But that'd definitely be interesting to see those three in a lineup together, suited up in Bucks uniforms. Whew. So that is out there. That is out there. But will deadlines spur actions, and will we get a major Bucks trade? Bucks are going to be back at it tonight as they take on the Charlotte Hornets. Bucks looking for a win here too, losing their last 4 games in a row. Kind of a throwaway game in the last one when practically everybody, or at least their top 6 players, all sat going up against Oklahoma City Thunder. But I think, only just a few games up, 4 games up, over 500 right now. Looking for a win going up against the Hornets. So tip time for that game, 6 p.m. Coverage will begin at about 5:30. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but Bucks fans, give me your thoughts, your reactions to either Kyle Kuzma. Been seeing a little meh kind of reaction for bringing in Kuzma for Middleton. Not really that moves the needle a whole lot, at least from what I saw online. But I got to imagine if it were to happen somehow, some way, KD gets over there, which I put that at like single-digit % of actually happening. But I got to imagine that would instantly move the needle. And I mean, again, earlier this week, we just talked about, trades, best trades, worst trades in Wisconsin sports history. If we kind of rephrased it to trades that shocked or shook the Wisconsin sports world, that would definitely be up there in top 5. No question about it. More hoops. We had the Badger men's basketball team picking up a win last night against the Indiana Hoosiers at the Kohl's Center. So Badgers picking up a 76-64 win. Looking at the game, Badgers started off hot right away in that game too. It was a 24-4 to begin the game. I mean, they came out on fire last night. But overall, you had John Tonje leading the team, 15 points. Max Klesmit, 13. Carter Gilmore putting 2 games back-to-back. Double-digit scoring. He led bench scores last night, 19 minutes of action, 10 points, 3 of 3 from the three-point line. So, but the Badgers picking up their 18th win of the season and improving to 8-4 in conference play and moving 2 games back from Purdue for first place. Purdue now sitting there at the top of the conference with a 10-2 record after Michigan State now has dropped their last 2 games. Michigan State has been over in the West Coast, falling to USC, falling to UCLA. Close games there. But now they've got Oregon coming up on the 8th here. So things still remain, but maybe a little bit tighter here in the Big Ten Conference standing. So as it stands, Wisconsin tied for 4th place in the Big Ten Conference. And I think it's going to be a race to the finish here, too. I really do. Up next for Wisconsin is going to be Iowa coming up on the 8th. And then it's that. I mean, Iowa's going to be on the road against Iowa, but then you've got Purdue. Huge game coming up on the 15th at Purdue. Home against Illinois, where the Badgers are going to be looking to exercise some demons against Illinois. Home against the Oregon and Washington. Oregon just dropping out of the rankings in the latest polls. And then at Michigan State. So we're looking at just 7 more games left to go here in the regular season. Meanwhile, Marquette fell last night to St. John's in a battle for the top in the Big East, 70-64. So St. John's increasing their lead to 1.5 games in the Big East. Marquette falling to 2 games back. So, I mean, just last week they were at the top, then a loss to UConn, and now a loss to St. John's has put them 2 games back from first place. But St. John's right now controlling that. They picked up their 20th win of the season with their victory over Marquette last night, 70-64. So Marquette, meanwhile, their next game is going to be going up against, Creighton coming up on the 8th. So chance to move up. You look at Marquette's schedule, though, too. I mean, the last 2 games of their regular season at UConn and home against St. John's. What a way to finish up their regular season. And that could mean a lot in terms of movement in the Big East standings over there, too. So plenty of basketball talk for you. And speaking of which, it's the Battle of I-94, the War of I-94 coming up tonight. WIAC basketball back in action. Stout Blue Golds taking on each other. The women's game will be in Eau Claire. The men's game will be in Stout tonight. So WIAC basketball action back in action tonight after having the weekend off there too. So we'll talk some hoops throughout this morning here. What else do we got on the dockets? We'll throw a little football talk in here. We'll do some Super Bowl tidbits as now we inch a little bit closer. Got teams practicing starting today and such. But we'll go over some of the tidbits that has been transpiring this week at Super Bowl week and such. Going back to what Roger Goodell said the other day, that the NFL is exploring and looking to create a pro flag football league for men and women. And for the men's side, it's essentially for players who may kind of, have their careers done in the NFL, or players who just couldn't quite get to that level or consistently. Would that be something that you would tune into, that you'd be like all about, that you'd be watching with a little pro flag? I think I'd be interested in it, at least. As long as it wasn't like the Pro Bowl flag football game. No, I don't think I would, because I mean, these are guys playing for money and it'd be their jobs and such. So I think it'd be a little bit more intense than that, but I think I'd be at least interested, and hopefully it would live up to it and such. But speaking of football, yesterday, Mason Crosby officially announcing his retirement on his radio show, so that he is retiring from the NFL. Spent 17 seasons in the NFL, 16 of those seasons with the Green Bay Packers. So he finishes his career with 1,939 points, which is the 11th most in NFL history. So highest scoring player in Packers history, but he is has the 11th most points scored in NFL history, which is pretty darn impressive. A 17-year career for a kicker. That's nothing to bat an eye about. That's pretty awesome. And I think a lot of us Packers fans could probably think about some big time kicks throughout Mason's career. I mean, you look at his career and you look at, the ebbs and flows. I mean, the one season where he was just so down, and a lot of other teams would have probably moved on from him or tried to get a new kicker in and such. And Green Bay stuck with him. He rewarded them, getting back to being pretty consistent. I mean, some big-time kicks. The Dallas one in the postseason. I remember the 49ers one early in the regular season in San Francisco. Remember that one where it was like, 20-some, 30-some seconds left. Rodgers completes 2 passes to Devontae, and then Mason goes out there and kicks a game-winning field goal, like 50-some yards. So, I mean, there's definitely been some big-time moments throughout Mason's career. So, but you look back at it, man, that's a heck of a career. Not many kickers are able to have. He won't be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. I mean, it's already hard enough for kickers to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame and special teams players and such, but no doubt about it, he is a Packers Hall of Famer. And I think a player, too, that sometimes we took maybe for granted, just knowing how, number 2 was going to be out there. Maybe not for the 1 year where he was down and such, and we were pretty nervous in that, but for the most part, dude was pretty solid, and you were feeling pretty good about Mason going out there and at least making a kick like in the 40s and such. So Mason calling it a career, and I got to imagine fairly soon he will be inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame. Packers, meanwhile, have their new linebackers coach as well. They did promote Sean Duggan to linebackers coach. He was an assistant with the Packers. He had spent some time with Jeff Hafley in Boston College, where he was linebackers coach and also co-defensive coordinator in that final season. So by all accounts, I think the Packers have all their positions filled. I think they've got them all filled unless they decide to add a little bit more. But nothing official yet from Green Bay announcing those, because I know Steno has been taking some interviews for some other offensive coordinator positions out there, looking for a chance to call plays in that. But I think those jobs are kind of closed up and that. So, but we'll throw some more green and gold talk in there and some football talk as well. We'll throw some baseball talk as well. The Brewers packing up their trucks and getting ready to head over for spring training. So if you saw that on the socials, Saw them getting the semis packed up and all that. We've got some projected 2025 standings and playoff odds from MLB, from MLB.com. And when it comes to the NL Central, they've got the Cubs dethroning the Brewers. Pacoda forecasts, one of the very many analytics and stats out there. They think it's the Cubs' turn in 2025. They're projected for 91 wins. The Cubs are projected for 91 wins for this season. So, but the Brewers, they've been in that position before, right? They've been in that position before, and they've surpassed a lot of expectations and how many other years. But right now, where's the rest? So for the rest of the Central, they've got Milwaukee. So it's a lot of sims, baseball prospectus, Pacoda standings here. A lot of sims and simulations and such. But they've got the Brewers at 80.5 wins, 81.5 losses, finishing second in the NL Central. Cubs 90.5 wins. That would be the third most wins in the National League. Dodgers 104 wins. Atlanta 92.3 wins. The Mets are on there at 88.7. Philadelphia 87.8. And yes, they do not have the Brewers making the postseason for this. AL wise, they've got Baltimore. Baltimore and the Yankees. They give Baltimore the advantage, but Baltimore 89.2 wins. The Yankees 89.2 wins. The AL Central, the Twins 86.9. AL West, Texas 89.1. So, 27.7% chance for the Brewers, by the way, according to their simulations of making the postseason. So they get ready for that time of year. We got the predictions and projections and such. So, but we'll talk some baseball as we inch closer and closer to that. We've got stock reports, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling. Let me know. Hit me up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Let's get things going here this morning now. All right, let's hit it up. Let's talk a little hoops as we inch a little bit closer and closer to the NBA trade deadline. Bucks fans, what are your thoughts when you hear Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton? Are you kind of like what I've been seeing on social media, kind of like a shoulder shrug, like, yeah, I don't know. KD, possible? Could it happen? I don't think so, but Vegas is giving the Bucks pretty good odds for it happening. I don't know though, but we're just one day away. How important do you think? How big is it? Do you think Bucks general manager John Horst? How important is it for him to be able to make a move before the deadline tomorrow to maybe save his job too? Who knows? But let's talk some hoops. All right, we'll take our first break and then get things rolling. What else is on your mind? You can let us know. Hit us up with a text or comment on the video streams, all that good stuff. Stick around. We'll be back to kick things off here in just a few minutes. Got to give a shout out to our good buddy G-Man. Just dropped by. It's been a hot minute since we seen the Hall of Famer G-Man over there, but he was kind enough. He went over to our good friends at Mike's Star Market, picked up some snack sticks over there to snack on during the big game and such. So big time shout out to our Hall of Famer G-Man for that, and the snack sticks that help support Backyard Dreams as well. So oh gosh, two good partners right there, G-Man and, Mike Star Market. So yes, head on over, to Mike Star Market, get your snack sticks, or maybe for Valentine's Day, Sarah over there's got full lineup of some freeze-dried candy, or maybe you're looking for some brats to put on the grill for the big game, or some steaks and such. Mike's can hook you up, over there, but, it was good to see you, G-Man. Appreciate, you stopped by. It's been a little bit, so man, that's good stuff. That makes the day right there. No question about it. Let's get things rolling here this morning. Let's talk a little hoops to open it up. Jeremy says, I like Kuzma to the Bucks. In my opinion, it's an upgrade from Middleton in the consistency part, and it allows to be Portis, and allows Portis to be extremely important to the rotation. I think the one thing too with Kuzma, if the Bucks were to get this one done, and I think that's probably the more realistic one than KD, at this point. But I think the thing with Kuzma, like Jeremy said, you talk about the consistency, but Kuzma then would imagine would be inserted to the starting lineup, whereas Middleton's been kind of coming off the bench now. You don't have to maybe worry about minutes restrictions and back-to-backs for Middleton, and trying to make sure that you're thinking about his ankle injuries, and you're limited to what you can kind of do with Middleton. You get that flexibility with Kyle Kuzma. Now you look at Kuzma, I mean, this year his numbers are a little bit down. He's averaging 15.2 points per game so far this season, and you look at his last couple years of his career. I mean, he's a guy that's averaged over 20 points per game. Last year with the Wizards, he averaged 22.2. The year before that, 21.2. Before spending half his career with the Lakers over there too. So yeah, I would agree with Jeremy. You're getting more of a consistent player there. You probably suffer a little bit in the 3-point shooting department. He's just shooting 28% from three so far. But I think then you put him in your lineup. I mean, you'd have a pretty, Jay Billis would probably be going nuts with the wingspan talk here, but you'd have a pretty big lineup there with Brook playing your 5, Giannis playing the 4, Kuzma playing the 3. I mean, he's 6'9". And then, whoever would it still be, Andre Jackson Jr., I would assuming, and Damian Lillard in the backcourt. I mean, that's some length over there too. So, I mean, I get it why they're looking at a guy like Kuzma, because you're looking for maybe another starter. You're looking for, or maybe they put Kuzma at the power forward. I mean, that's technically where he's been listed at over there too. But again, I think the NBA's positionless at this point, so it doesn't really matter. But you're looking for somebody that maybe you don't have to factor in, minutes restrictions or his ankles, or is he able to go back-to-back nights? And that's, I mean, Middleton so far in just 23 games this year has averaged 12.6 points per game and 3.7 rebounds per game. So I don't know what exactly it would. I don't know if it'd be a straight up, Middleton Kuzma thing. I would imagine the Bucks would have to add a little bit more to it. But I'll throw out another name. Now, this isn't necessarily the biggest need out there. But I've seen his name kind of popping up in trade rumors, and this is a guy who's just been on the move throughout the majority of his career. And it's former Buck Malcolm Brogdon. Now he's a guard, 6'4", so probably like a backcourt type of player. He is a little bit older. He is 32 years old. And you look at his contract, and yeah, he's got a big hit. He's scheduled to be a free agent next year, though, so maybe that's something if they want to get a little veteran help back there too. But kind of saw his name as some people kind of flown out there. I don't think it's the biggest need for the Bucks right now. I think you're looking for that front court help, or maybe a little bit of another another shooter, another scorer to help out Giannis and Dame. I think the biggest thing though that the Bucks need to do is, again, just to find a consistent presence, a consistent three, a consistent, player that can help out Giannis and Dame. Kind of going back to what we talked about, I think last week. Dame sometimes will have those cold stretches, or a cold game, I should say, where he could be 4 of 15 from the field. We know he's an outside shooter. He can drive the lane, though, but he's going to chuck up his threes. He's going to try to hit his threes. Who's that player currently on this roster right now besides Giannis that can help fill that void if Dame is having a little bit of an off night? And maybe Kyle Kuzma is that type of guy, is that type of player. But those are the two new names. The KD one, going back to that, you can look up the Vegas odds. Warriors are up there. The Wizards are up there too. And I think that's the Washington connection with KD. But that one would kind of surprise me a little bit. But Bucks are up there. Bucks are up there in odds. Whether you are a believer in Vegas odds and betting odds, if they could tell a little bit of the story, but the Bucks are up there as one of the top teams to add KD to these trade rumors. I'd be a little surprised. I should say a little surprised. I would be surprised if Phoenix traded him. Now I know that's kind of getting a little bit louder out there. I don't know if it had a lot to do with the Warriors, the rumor out there that they're trying to find another star to pair up with Steph. And one of the easy connections out there has been KD because of their playing careers together a while ago. Giannis's name has been thrown out there too, but Giannis's name is always being thrown out there when it talks about superstars being traded and such. So there's been that, but I'm just the NBA world, whether you are a coach, a general manager, and even a player in a sense, it is such a what have you done for me lately league. So while John Horst was the GM when the Bucks won the title in that and, made those moves, you look at the last couple of years, and yes, it's been the postseason for the Bucks has been flagged by injuries and that. But how big is it for John Horst to make a move to, get this team not only to the postseason, but make a run in the postseason? Like, is this a job-saving type of next 24 hours or so for John Horst? Like, should he be on the hot seat for how this team's playing? You look at everything from the coaching decisions to roster makeups and all that. Like, we talk about different people being on the hot seat, but how do you think the Bucks general manager, John Horst, should be on the hot seat right now with how he's constructed this Bucks team to surround Giannis? Factor in everything from coaching to the roster. And how important is the next 36, however many hours it is, for not only for this Bucks team, but maybe for him to make a move and to get this team playing at a high level, a consistent high level where they can, if they got to face the Celtics in a 7-game series or the Cavaliers or the Knicks, if they got to beat them, you're feeling at least confident that you can do it. Because right now, my confidence is low that they can. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious to know, like, is there some internal pressure on Horst right now? Like, dude, you got to figure this out. You've put the Bucks in a situation with some roster moves where it's tight, money wise, and not able to move a lot of assets. It's tight. Remember, they traded 3 second-round picks for Jay Crowder So, I mean, he's got to figure something out. We know he's an aggressive general manager. He's proven that. He has proven it time and time again that he is an aggressive general manager, isn't afraid to make moves. However, is there enough left for him to do to try to elevate this team to the next tier? Because right now, when I look at the East, I think it's 2, 3 teams in tier 1. It's easily Boston and Cleveland. New York I'd put in there, maybe just a little bit on the outside, but they got a lot of talent on that team. And then I'd say tier 2 is probably the Bucks right now. You throw in the Pacers in there. But the separation from Cavs and Celtics to where the Bucks are at right now, it's a pretty wide gap. All right, continue to send me your thoughts, Bucks fans. Kyle Kuzma, does that kind of move that dial for you a little bit? Does that kind of pique your interest? Should they quote unquote sell the farm to get a KD? And when I say sell the farm, I mean it might be like Middleton, Pat, Portis, draft picks and all that sort of stuff just to get KD paired up with Giannis and Dame. Your thoughts, let me know. Hit me up, 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break, finish up the first hour here. More hoops talk. We got football talk coming up as well, plus a little baseball talk. Don't forget, send in your stock reports. With the temperatures a bit colder these days, your vehicle may be working a lot harder this winter season. Add in the potential for poor road conditions, and winter driving can be tough on your vehicle. Hey, that's where ASAP Used Auto Parts can help you out. Make sure your vehicle is prepared for this winter season with a new oil change to keep your engine running smooth and that you have the proper tires for those snow covered roads. ASAP Used Auto Parts can help you with both of those. Just give them a call today to set up your appointment at 715-514-4501. Catching up on a couple of messages here surrounding the Bucks and some trade rumors here. Dave says KD would be flipping phenomenal. I think they would instantly move up into that Cavs and Celtics tier, and I would be confident that they could beat them, but it's not going to happen. I'm kind of 50-50 on Kyle Kuzma. Derek says, I'm in for the Kuzma trade. Kind of what you and the previous texter said. The biggest thing is consistency. You know what you're going to get from Kyle Kuzma, and you can count on him to play almost every night. Well, maybe not every night, but probably more than what Middleton has right now. It's just kind of an unknown at this point, whenever he's going to play in that. So another texter here, Chris says, I'd be okay with Kyle Kuzma coming over to the Bucks a little bit younger. I'm just wondering, would Giannis sign off on that deal? Yeah, I agree. Like to me, they got to go to Giannis. I would imagine they're going to Giannis to approve all this stuff and to approve these deals and that. But maybe not. I don't know. It just I feel like that would be the smart thing to do. That because you don't want to upset him. I mean, we're such on that thin line. Like, hey, Giannis, please don't leave us. Please don't leave us. Don't go anywhere. And you kind of have to pacify him and always make him happy and such. So I don't know if this would. I don't know if this would really upset him, and so who knows? I how many times have we thought we knew what an athlete was going to do or what they were thinking, and just completely goes the opposite way here. So I have no idea what Giannis's reaction would be like if they traded off his good buddy Chris Middleton, but I think deadlines are going to spur actions, and I think we're going to see at least a couple more moves coming up here throughout the NBA. We're not going to have a splash like a Luka and an Anthony Davis. I mean, KD would be a splash, but I don't think you're going to get like a superstar in return for KD, kind of like what it was for Luka and Anthony Davis. But I think we're going to get at least a couple more moves before the deadline. Ones that, like maybe like a De'Aaron Fox and a Zach LaVine type of level. Switching over to college hoops, Badgers picking up a win last night against Indiana, their 18th win of the season to improve to 18-5. It was a 76-64 win. John Tonje led the Badgers in scoring with 15 points. Kind of an even out, balanced scoring from the Badgers last night. Nolan Winter had 12. Max Klesman had 13. Carter Gilmore, 2 games in a row now that he's been in double-figure scoring. He came off the bench and put up 10 points, 3 of 3 from three-point land. Badgers now tied for 4th in the Big Ten Conference standings. And, I mean, this is going to be a race to the finish here. Purdue up top over Michigan State now. Michigan State's a half game back. They're on a 2-game losing streak on their West Coast trip. Then you've got Michigan that's a game back. Wisconsin and UCLA are 2 games back. Maryland's 2.5 back. And Illinois is 3 games back from the top spot in the Big Ten Conference. And you look at Illinois, they still got Michigan State. They've got Wisconsin again. Illinois's got Duke, for crying out loud. So, and then Michigan and Purdue. So Illinois's got a tough schedule coming up here. But this thing, I think, is going to be a crazy, crazy race to the finish here as we start to – we're about a month away from wrapping up the regular season. 7 games or so for some of these teams. So it's coming down to the wire here. And I think this is going to be a really close race to see who finishes as the Big Ten's regular season champion. And the thing is, whoever wins that Big Ten Conference tournament is going to be so up in the air too, just because of all these teams that are kind of clumped together at the top of the standings. I think that Big Ten Conference tournament is just going to be. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be very good. Marquette, meanwhile, dropped another game. So they're 2 games back now from the Big East standings. They fell to St. John's, who's in the top spot in the Big East, 70-64. 70-64. So Creighton's over there at the second spot, and that's who Marquette's got coming up this weekend. So Marquette's 2 back. Creighton is 1.5 back from St. John's. So speaking of college hoops, again, reminder, it's the battle for I-94, war for I-94. You've got the Blue Golds taking on the Blue Devils of Stout. Women's game will be in Eau Claire at the Sonnentag. The men's game is going to be on the road in Stout there too. You want to talk about that season starting to kind of wrap up here as well. You're looking at the for basketball wise, this Blue Gold men's team looking for their 14th win of the season. They're 13-6 so far, and they've only got, well, both these teams only have 2, 4, 6 more games left to go in the regular season too. And you know, for the men's team, this is a big one tonight going up against Stout, because then they've got 2 absolutely huge games coming up here, and they're both at the Sonnentag. I will say this, and I will keep saying this. If you have not watched this Blue Gold men's basketball team, if you have not seen them in person yet, this is a fantastic team. They're a lot of fun to watch. It could be Carter one night. It could be Michael Casper the other night. It could be Andre. I mean, they've got a balanced attack over there. They're a lot of fun, high energy. But after tonight's game, you know, don't look too far ahead. Take care of business tonight. Get your 14th win of the season and improve to 14-6. But after that, Saturday at the Sonnentag, taking on the number 6 team in the country, lacrosse. And then next Wednesday, taking on number 4, Platteville. Platteville was ranked number 1 not that long ago. Both games at the Sonnentag. 2 huge games. We're actually going to be doing a show next Wednesday from the Sonnentag ahead of that huge matchup against Platteville. So we're actually going to be on the road a week from today doing the program over there. So, but this is, if you have not, this is the weekend to go. Saturday, 5 p.m. against lacrosse, or even on Wednesday, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. 2 huge games for that men's team. And if you have not watched that, they're a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch. Go check them out, especially over at the Sonnentag Center too. Women's team for the Blue Golds. You know, tonight's gonna be a tough one too, because we know Stout's ranked, right? I mean, that program over there has been pretty fantastic the last couple of years. Stout ranked 19th in the country. But remember, the last time these two faced each other, Eau Claire gave them a battle. It went down to the last buzzer. Stout defeated them 73-70. And then, you know, for the women's team, you're only going to have, after tonight, one more shot to see them in person, because they're going to be on the road against lacrosse and Platteville. Then they'll be at home for the final regular season game, the 15th, going up against Stevens Point. Then they finish up the next last 2 weeks on the road over there too. So not a lot of opportunities. Only 2 more counting tonight to see the Blue Gold women's team in action at the Sonnentag. So a couple more texts before we wrap up the first hour. Another texter, Eric, says, I'd be good with Eric Kuzma. He provides a little bit more depth to the front court, gives the Bucks a little bit more size and athleticism. Plus, you know, he can play a back-to-back. Okay. Another texter says, I'm not for Kuzma. I'd rather have Middleton. I know you have to manage his minutes and such, but I feel like moving Middleton for Kuzma would do more harm than good, specifically when it comes to the chemistry that Middleton has with Giannis and the others already on this team. Keep your thoughts coming. Keep your opinions coming. Hit me up, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or hit us up on the video streams as well, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. We're going to talk some baseball. We got some projections as well. We'll hit those up coming up in the next hour. Before then, though, we'll say good morning to Morgs.
Hey, what's the good word in here today?
Not a whole lot. How about you?
I walked outside, and it's like, I know we're only in February, but I kept thinking, I didn't know it was supposed to be cold again. Like cold again.
Isn't February supposed to be like one of the coldest months?
Yeah, I know. But we
Yeah.
got that nice stretch of January.
Yeah.
And like a moron, I thought it might last. Like when you're having.
I didn't say it. You said it.
I know.
So,
I know. But other than that, yeah, things are good. You planning a big game party on Sunday at all?
Possibly.
What does possibly mean?
Hudson wants to. He wants like nachos and all that.
So what is your go-to game day? Obviously, wings are on the menu.
I'm a dip guy, man.
Yeah.
Give me dip all day, every day. Buffalo chicken, taco dip.
Do you make it? Do you have a dip recipe, or are you just digging into what people bring?
Make it.
You make it. So you're not to go buy it. And,
nope.
Okay.
V does the taco dip. We'll do the buffalo chicken recipe for my buddy D from a few years ago. So,
yeah.
Yep.
Good deal.
Yep.
Well, if you are doing a spread and you're looking for snack food, it's actually National Snack Food Month. Did you know that? Go to the snack food aisle. Pick out your top 2 favorite. One sweet, one savory. And then I'll give you a little pop quiz here. We'll open the bag on some Wednesday wildcard questions.
I'm a big chips guy.
Yeah, but pick your chips. Fritos, Doritos. What are you doing? Cool Ranch, nacho cheese, blazing hot.
Old school Doritos Ranch. I say old school because they had more seasoning on them back in the day. I think we'd all agree with that.
Listen
right?
to how old we sound. And Oreos were bigger when I was a kid. I'm telling you, I know these things.
Fritos chili cheese chips, though, too.
Now, do you dip chili cheese or do they stand alone?
They stand alone.
Okay.
Yep.
So then go sweet. What's the sweet? Oatmeal cream pie.
That's my hunting one.
Swiss rolls.
I'm a zebra cake guy.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So a little safari action in the stand. You're going zebra hunting.
Yep.
All right. We're going into the aisles quick to do a little bit of fast action snack trivia for you today then. It was created during the Great Depression. What snack is named after a fancy hotel?
What snack is made after
created during the Great Depression?
Ritz crackers.
You got it. Ritz crackers. What does the Kool-Aid man yell when he bursts through your walls?
Oh.
Well, halfway there. Oh.
I can't remember. I just blanked.
It's literally 2 words. He burst through your wall.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. God dang it.
All right. I know you just said you're a zebra cake guy, but Little Debbie now sells over 75 different snack cakes, which I did not know. But in 1960, they introduced their first family pack. What was first introduced in that size? 49 cents.
I'm just going to say it. I don't know why. Honey bun?
No.
Okay.
It's your tree stand favorite.
Oh, is the oatmeal?
It is.
Really?
And did you ever watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
Oh, yeah.
That is what I always think of with oatmeal cream pie, that piece of crumb that falls there, but it looks
never
giant.
Thought of that, yeah.
It's so delicious.
Yep.
Yeah. That's kind of the best one.
Well, it's weird at Snack Sticks because G-Man just dropped off a cooler of Snack Sticks from Mike's over there, too.
And there you go, G-Man. Nice and timely. Happy Snack Month.
All right. Thanks, Morgs.
Anytime.
1 in, 2 more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. Second hour kicking off right now on this February 5th, coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk studios. We'll chat a little football coming up here in a little bit. We'll get back to some more hoops talk with the NBA trade deadline coming at you tomorrow, the latest and hottest rumors that are rumbling out there. We got stock reports that'll be due coming up in an hour from now. So send us your stock reports, whose stock is rising, whose stock is falling. We'll hit that up over there too. But let's talk a little baseball to begin this hour with Mr. Luke. So teams are packing up their semis, getting ready to head over to spring training, pitchers and catchers. The first spring training game for the Brewers. Less than 3 weeks away. You'll catch it right here on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM on February 22nd. It's a Saturday, February 22nd. So mark your calendars for the first time. We'll get some baseball on the air this year. So that means we're also getting to that point where we're starting to see some season projections and predictions out there. And one of them is the PECOTA, Player Empirical Comparison and Optimism Test Algorithm. They couldn't come up with a shorter name for that crap. For goodness gracious there, Lucas, man.
PECOTA.
PECOTA?
Yeah.
PECOTA.
I've actually never heard of the full version. I've always known of it as PECOTA.
Yeah. Player Empirical Comparison and Optimization Test Algorithm.
PECOTA. From baseball perspectives, that's their big.
Yeah. They got your Twins winning the AL Central with 86.9 wins and a playoff percentage of 68.3. For the NL Central, they've got the Cubs winning division, 90.5 wins, 86.9% playoff chance. Milwaukee would be second with 80.5 wins and a 27.7 playoff percent chance. But I feel like Brewers fans are saying we've been through this before with these predictions and projections and all that stuff. So, but other ones, Dodgers, the only team with over 100 wins, no surprise, 104 wins. They've got a 99.6% chance they'll make the postseason. Atlanta winning the NL East with 92.3 wins and 90% playoff chance. The Mets would be second at 88.7. Philadelphia right behind them, 87.8. Arizona's also in there, 86.8 wins. San Diego, 82.4 wins. Other teams in the AL, Baltimore and New York tied, 89.2 wins apiece. Boston dead last in that division so far. They've got 77.9 wins. The rest of the AL Central, Kansas City would be second at 81.3, then Cleveland at 80.5, Detroit fourth with 79.3 wins. And the AL West, Texas at 89.1 wins, Houston 86.7, Seattle right behind them though with 86.1. And I got to tell you, this looks really weird to see it. It says Sacramento and not Oakland on here. It says Sacramento.
Hey,
so
you're supposed to refer to them as the A's or the Athletics. You are not, according to the team.
Oh,
say Sacramento. So
it says Sacramento right there. So it's really weird to see that.
Baseball Prospectus is going to jail.
So that's It took me a second. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, okay,
yeah,
weird. Anything stand out to you with some of those?
I still am not convinced LA is going to be quite as good, but they, like I said before, I think their goal is once again win the championship because that's the most important thing.
Why aren't you convinced with the Dodgers?
Because they'll rest their pitchers. We've seen pitchers get shut down for big chunks of the season. They may do that with their players too, but especially their pitchers, given how, despite being a very good organization for pitchers, they have so many injured pitchers as well. It's an odd circumstance. So they may be like, oh my gosh, they're leading the Diamondbacks by 3 games. What's happening? No, it will settle out in the playoffs. But again, like broken record, you know how the playoffs tend to go. So that it's a dangerous thing to do, but what's better I know baseball doesn't have like the commissioner was the President's Cup in the NHL.
Yeah.
One of those things. They don't have that, which is just as well, because the best team doesn't always end up winning the World Series or even getting past the League Division Series. So that's one thing. I know yesterday Baseball Tonight was talking about these standings, and they highlighted in particular St. Louis and Cincinnati. St. Louis should not be 78, and Cincinnati should not be rounded to 74. The Reds would be better, and the Cardinals are going to be way worse.
Yeah, they got the Reds in last place.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I mean, I understand Pacoda and Fangraphs are going to have certain logic to what they do, but there's a lot of stats behind that. But
I honestly feel like the NL Central one is the weirdest one for me. Like I know the Cubs made a couple moves here, but I feel like that's the division that if we use these as the base, that one I could see being flipped around quite a bit.
Yes, and for what it's worth, Fangraphs, that's the other one I'll usually peruse. They have the Reds also picked it last, but they tend to they're more scrunched. Like they got the Cubs winning with 84 and the Reds and Pirates tied for last with 78. So, I mean, okay, fine. That's not that much. They got the Brewers at 81 and 81 and then the Cardinals in between. So
they pretty much have what for Brewers wise the same as Pacoda. So
right. But man, they are high on the Cubs. They are cold on the Reds, and I don't know that I agree with that. I mean, some of these make sense, but that's also because of what we've seen, like Chicago being terrible, Colorado being terrible. Boston's probably going to be better. They got him at last place at 78. I think now let's see what happens with Alex Bregman. And I know he's been associated with the Red Sox a fair amount. If he goes to Boston, I mean, they could make their way up into the middle of the division. I don't see them surpassing New York and Baltimore, but they could be a much, much better team. Sacramento, that's so weird.
No, I keep thinking Kings when you say that. So.
Right. No, not that. I think they're going to be better than their record indicates. I wouldn't be surprised if Houston's a little worse. Minnesota, everyone's still high on them. And I get it.
I'm a little surprised with the Tigers being a little bit down. I thought that would be a team like everybody like, ooh, watch out for this, because of how they finished last year.
Yeah, they brought Flaherty back. They've been making some pretty good moves all around. I know they finished strong. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a dominant team. Fangraphs has them a game behind the Twins for first, but then here they got them way back.
Pacoda's got them in fourth.
I think Detroit's going to be better than that. Minnesota's going to the Twins. It's a matter of health. Rinse and repeat. We've said that so many times. If everyone stays healthy, yeah, that's definitely an 87 win team. But
and I get it, like from the Brewers' perspective, why they pretty much have them at a 500. I mean, let's be real here. They've lost Evan Williams and they've lost Willie Adames, right? I mean, those are two losses. Yes, the expectation is Jackson Chourio. What else can he do this year? Is he going to continue to grow in that? Other than that, it's a lot of unknowns, right? Is Christian Yelich going to be the same Christian Yelich we saw before he got done, before he was hurt for the year, at that all-star level? Can Garrett Mitchell be a guy that helps fill that power void? We haven't seen a lot of them because he has been injured. You kind of know what to expect from Contreras. After that, is Rhys Hoskins going to be more consistent at the plate? There's a lot of question marks right now. And I get it why. Even Brandon Woodruff's a big question mark. What version of Brandon Woodruff are you going to get this year? You don't know. So I get why, I hope Brewers fans aren't just like throwing stuff at the wall and pissed at these projections. I understand why they've got them at like a 500 team. I do, because there's a lot of question marks surrounding them.
So right now, if you were to break this down by like the playoffs right now, it would be, Baltimore at 89.2 and Texas at 89.1. So Baltimore's the 1 seed. I mean, okay, well, so they'd be 1, 2. Minnesota would be the 3. The Yankees, but they're tied with Baltimore. So one of those two would be the 4. Houston would be the 5, and Seattle would actually be the 6. National League, LA 1, Atlanta 2. The Cubs would be the 3 seed, and then
Mets, Phillies,
and Diamondbacks would be your 3, and then the next out would be San Diego and Milwaukee, but further back. I mean, it's not a ton of shock, but also the Cubs I think they are akin to Minnesota. If everyone is healthy and performs as you would expect them to perform, they probably should do pretty well in the division. But will they do pretty well in the division? Fangraphs has them at 84, and like I said, they had 84 wins and Brewers at 81. Fangraphs is more conservative with their projections.
I honestly feel like when it comes to the NL Central, if we're just doing like preseason picks at this point on February 7th, considering the rest of the teams in the National League in the East and the West, I think the only way for an NL Central team to get in the postseason at this point might be to win that division. Would you agree?
Yes, unless there's
like
underperformance across the board, which that has happened a few times. But you're banking on that happening. That's not a good approach to take.
Because you look at the East, there's 3 playoff caliber teams there with the Atlanta, the Mets, and Philly. West, same thing with the Dodgers, Arizona, and San Diego. And San Francisco, I'm kind of curious about this year. A little bit. A little bit. Not saying but are they, obviously the Willie Adames one, and I know they missed out on like Corbin and such, but I don't know. I wonder if they can be one of those like pesky teams this year.
Yeah, I mean they've made a few more moves, so maybe this is the year. Like if you're trying to find that team, it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're in line for a wild card spot. A lot of people are going to end up saying that about Cincinnati because they're going to almost gosh, I feel really confident that they're going to overshoot all the projections. I think they will be in the wild card running. But if there's a team you're like, I didn't see them coming, San Francisco strikes me as that team.
Hey, White Sox fans, based off this, you're not the worst team this year. It's Colorado. So there you go.
Colorado's just like, what are they even doing at this point? They're not even trying.
Yeah.
I think the A's could be that team in the American League. If you're looking for the no one saw this coming, like I said, I think that they will be better than projected. It might be one of those where in June, you're going, like 3 games out of a wild card. Well, are they going to do this? And they're not, but closer than anyone thought.
There are, this is also to wrap it up here, hang your hat on this for White Sox fans. You've got a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs, according to Pacoda. There are 2 teams that are going to open up season with a 0% chance. That's Miami and Colorado.
93 expansion teams. Yep, it's already over.
There you go. You're done.
Sweet.
Don't even play this year.
Well, let's look ahead to, hey, there's always 2026.
But you White Sox fans got a 0.2% chance. You're telling me there's a chance.
And here's the other thing, though. They are going to sell. They're like their farm system is really good. The White Sox are not going to be anywhere close to this bad in about 3, 4, 5 years. They're going to get a lot better. I won't quite go this far, but I'm getting some shades of the Astros in the early to mid 20 teens. Now they were tanking. The White Sox they're kind of tanking. If they do it right, I mean the Astros also had to have some really good personnel. I know there's also the whole garbage thing, but they had to make a lot of right moves and bring a lot of right people in.
Right.
White Sox have a lot of talent. They're probably going to unload other folks this year, but keep building up and building up. The White Sox are not going to suck this badly towards the end of this decade. Whereas I don't know, Miami and Colorado, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Who knows with especially Miami too.
Yeah.
That's the weird one.
Well, and again, Colorado, they don't do anything. They're just content to be who they are. Why? What? Right. What are we doing?
All right. We'll take a really quick break here. We'll switch gears and chat a little green and gold football, get back to some more hoops talk with the trade deadline coming up tomorrow. The latest and greatest rumors rumbling around the Bucks. And is there anything going on with the T-Wolves? We'll hit that up coming up a little bit later on too. Reminder next Wednesday. I got to turn my mic on. Reminder next Wednesday, amateur hour over here. We'll be broadcasting from the Sonotech Center ahead of the Blue Gold men's basketball game going up against Platteville. Should be a fantastic matchup there. Platteville just recently ranked number 1. They're number 4 now in the country. But if you have not watched that Blue Gold men's team in person yet, get on over to the Sonotech. You're going to have a couple of options here after tonight's game when they're over at Stouts, the War on I-94. This weekend going up against La Crosse, which is a top 10 team, and then Platteville a week from today. So we're going to talk some football here as it's Super Bowl week, getting set and such. Before we get your pick there, Joseph, you'll be the first one on the marker board.
Oh, excellent.
For this week. Took the Packer schedule down finally, so now there's a marker board behind it. I forgot about that. So.
No, this is good. I like.
Gonna have to move it to the other studio though soon.
The Virgin marker board is what it is right now. So very nice.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I'm excited about the new studio.
Yeah,
I got the tour from the general manager the other day, so I was like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a indoor grill, hot tub.
Wow.
All that stuff.
I didn't even hear about that.
So she doesn't know either. So
let's just keep that between us and thousands of listeners then.
Exactly. So well, I mean, it's been a few things happening in Green Bay Lions since then. So I mean, we've got a new defensive line coach.
Yep.
We've got a new linebackers coach.
Yep.
Over there. I know, the defensive line coach, not the guy that a lot of Packers fans wanted right away.
Right.
But the more you learn about it, coming over from New England, I thought it was interesting to note, too, that apparently, when he was named defensive coordinator for the Patriots, Elliott Wolf was the guy that really kind of pushed for that to happen over there, too.
Yeah, so. And look, there are certain trees in the NFL you look for. Obviously, offensively, you look for the Bill Walsh tree. And then it was the Holmgren tree from there, and now it's the Shanahan tree. And from a defensive side, though, you look at the Belichick tree. And so, you look at what he did when he wasn't DC over there. And I think that's kind of what you have to look at, because obviously with New England cleaning house after 1 year.
Yeah.
There's more to the story over there than just poor coaching. And so, I liked what I saw. And I try to go back again when I see a hire like this. I go back to his roots and I start seeing, okay, where did this guy come from? What tree is it on? And what is his philosophy? And I like what I hear. And again, I think it jives with what we heard about Hafley overall. And so I think you have a defensive line coach who will lean into the scheme. And I think as a DC and as a head coach, that's what you want.
Yeah. I thought it was, and this might be just kind of grasping at straws, but I thought it was interesting. He first started off as an outside linebackers coach, edge rusher, and then moved to defensive line. And I mean, we look at Green Bay's got their 2 defensive ends that transition from outside linebacker to that. So I don't know if that's just me kind of, like, ooh, that's kind of, matching it up right there. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
I think it's kind of what you and I did last year with Hafley having that defensive back experience. And so you're saying, okay, there were some issues. And I think Green Bay objectively cleaned up a lot of those issues. I think the miscommunication that you saw in the previous defense in that secondary, I think was gone, or at least for the most part, gone. And so, yeah, you're putting the puzzle together. They're different pieces of the puzzle when you're putting this thing together from a coaching staff standpoint. And the one thing I do like is I do think LaFleur, as he continues to hire and looks at other position coaches that possibly move on, I think he needs experience. I think he needs upper level experience and somebody, a defensive line coach who was a DC, maybe a wide receiver coach who was an OC. I mean, those types of things. And so I going back to when LaFleur was first hired, he just didn't have a lot of that experience. He was an OC for the most part under an offensive head coach. And so I just look at the organization that he's putting together, and I think he needs to continue to look at, let's get more experienced guys over here so that they can see things that maybe he doesn't.
And speaking of which, that relates to, so Sean Mannion got the quarterback's job reportedly, but it's also reported that Luke Getzey's going to be an offensive assistant. And I mean, he's had 2 tours with Green Bay already as a quarterback's coach, as a wide receivers coach, and now a 2-time offensive coordinator. I feel like he's there to help out Sean Mannion a little bit. Would you agree?
Oh, no question. No question. Look, I think the more eyes that you have, and there's a saying I use in business, you can't read the label when you're on the inside of the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more eyes you have looking at the label from the outside, and again, Luke Getsy is not a consultant. He's a full-time hire, but he's not looking at it from the quarterback coach perspective. He's looking at it from the holistic approach of this football team. So, yeah, I think based on what we've seen with Matt LaFleur and kind of the question mark about his coaching staff, I think he's going in the right direction as far as these new hire goes. And again, the proof is going to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
You and I say all the time, on paper, this makes sense. This sounds good. But until you see production on the field, you don't know. Again, last year, going back to that defensive line, you and I thought Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, to a lesser extent, they were going to make that transition really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not. And so, again, we can look at all these things in the offseason. That's why I crack up when, everyone talks about winning the offseason. I'm sorry. I don't see any scoreboard right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're going to talk defensive line here in a second. You know where I'm going to go with this, but, one more. Anthony Campanelli moving on, defensive coordinator for the Jaguars.
Yep.
Sean Duggan's getting promoted, who had spent years with Hafley over in Boston College and such. I look at that and obviously Sean was there last year in that, but my concern then is like, does this affect the growth of an Edrin Cooper, who had a really good rookie season? We saw some really good glimpses of Quay Walker. That would be my one concern with no Anthony Campanelli there.
100%. 100%. That I loved that guy coming in, Campanelli. And so I think when you do lose a guy like that, and again, that's where you're trying to build this depth. So if you do lose someone like that, and that's, looking at it from the offensive side of the ball, I think Steno might be one of those guys. That's why Getsy is kind of still here, that he could slide in then if that happens next year. And so, yeah, I think Duggan's a Hafley guy. And so it should be a pretty easy transition for him. But yeah, you look at these linebackers last year for the Green Bay Packers, and you look at Edrin Cooper and Quay Walker, but then you still look at Isaiah McDuffie and Eric Wilson and the jobs that they did as well. Yeah, you've got to point to that position coach and say he did a heck of a job. That was a big loss for Green Bay. That was a big loss. And, it's interesting, Captain, because tomorrow is the anniversary of the Super Bowl with the Packers and the Steelers. And Campanelli reminded me a lot of Kevin Green. Just brought the emotion, but also a student of the game mentality. And so, yeah, I think he was probably the best linebacker coach the Packers have had since Kevin Green.
So defensive line, obviously the news of Myles Garrett wanting, to be traded comes out with that. And, now you've got, I think every team in the NFC North fan base is saying that's a perfect fit for our team right now. Detroit's up there, Chicago, maybe not Minnesota as much because they got Van Ginkel and Greenert, so they don't need him with that. So, but I mean, let's say it's 2 firsts. Would you make that move?
Probably, yes. Probably I would. I don't see Green Bay doing it. I just don't. But would I do it for Garrett? Yes. I still think, and I tweeted this out at you this morning, I still think the way is Khalil Mack and then Devontae Adams. I think those are easier to facilitate and execute. And I think Khalil Mack still has some good football left in him. And so yes, if Goody goes out and get Myles Garrett and it's 2 firsts, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. But I think the more likely of scenario, and really it makes a lot of sense to me, is Khalil Mack on a 2-year deal. You look at the numbers from Pro Football Focus last year, Khalil Mack still playing at a very high level. I think he is the more reasonable target for the Green Bay Packers from a defensive line. Look, they've got to do something. They've got to do something. And Matt, I think the Max Crosby situation is even harder. Myles Garrett, look, just because you say you want to be traded doesn't mean you're going to be traded.
Right.
I want to be 6'7", and so that's never going to happen. And so, I laugh because, my son, of course, is 6'6", 6'7", but I will never be. So just because Myles Garrett says, I want to be traded, doesn't mean he's going to be traded. And so the more like I said, the more likely scenario for me is going out, signing a guy like Khalil Mack, who Brian Gutekunst was in play for a few years ago. When he was a Raider and then he went to the Bears. And the Raiders looked at it and said, well, the Bears pick was going to be better than the Packers. And so, I think that just makes a lot of sense. Now, again, if he goes out and gets Garrett, I mean, people are saying that's your Reggie White. That's that kind of a move to go out and make that move. But again, trades are harder to make when you're talking about a player of that level than it is just going out and signing a free agent.
Can we, maybe you're on the other side of this, but can we tamp down the talk that Green Bay won't let Goody trade a first round pick because Green Bay's holding the draft?
Yeah,
I get why they're saying, but that's bad business, right?
There's no way that Mark Murphy on his last draft or policy coming in on his first draft, there's no way that either one of them want that kind of blood on their hands.
Right.
And so, that's just, there is no way. I would become a Viking fan if I learned that there was some kind of a mandate like that, because I just don't see that happening. I don't see Green Bay's CEO, the president of the board, because again, they don't have an owner.
Right.
Ever since the days that Ron Wolf came into play, when Bob Harlan brought him in, their job is to run the business, and they let the GM run the football team. And if we're all of a sudden crossing those lines again, and we're going back to 80s and 90s Packers structure, I'll just cheer on college football. I guess I won't go that far.
Okay, I was going to say you might want to backtrack.
I'll just watch Friday Night Lights and Saturdays and be done with it at that point. So I don't buy it. It won't happen.
Yeah.
And again, I think, I saw somebody actually put, what about this scenario, that Green Bay trades for Myles Garrett, and then they have Myles Garrett come out and announce the 23rd pick of the Browns.
That's funny. That's funny.
So that would be comedy for me. I would enjoy that. But I don't see it. We are no longer living in the 70s and 80s of this Packers structure, when you did have that kind of crossbreeding where you did have the board of directors on the football side.
Right.
And Bob Harlan said, no. You run the business. He runs the football operation.
Yep. Speaking of that era, I think it's kind of, I was talking a little bit about it yesterday, but kind of, I think, forgotten a little bit. This could be a big weekend for Packers history, dude.
84, man.
Yeah.
Throw it to 84.
Right.
And so I still say this, again, you and I know what Don Hudson did. Transformational. All right.
Yep.
If Sharp plays, 5 or 6 more years, because what did he play? 7 or 8?
7.
Okay.
Yep.
So if he plays 5 or 6 more, they are looking at him the same way that previous eras looked at Don Hudson.
I would agree with that.
And so Sterling Sharp changed the way football was played. The passing game was played. It was more now we don't need to run the ball to get 4 yards all the time. We're going to throw it to Sharp and at least get 7. And so, there's nobody else right now. I almost think, my opinion, Sterling Sharp deserves to be in the Hall more than Leroy Butler did at that time. And so it's just because his career was cut short. But also this weekend, Mike Holmgren. And so you've got, this is I don't think Packer fans realize the magnitude of this announcement coming out. And so I have a good feeling about both of them this time around. You kind of felt the buzz with Jerry Kramer. You kind of felt that buzz coming. You kind of felt the buzz coming with Leroy Butler. I'm feeling that same type of thing with both Holmgren and Sharp.
And Sharp in the last couple of years has skyrocketed up these senior finalists.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad to see that they're, the Tony Baselli, TD was just a few years ago, and these players whose careers were cut short because of injury. I'm glad now they're finally looking at, I know Gale Sayers was a while ago, but we're starting to get that trend now, which I was looking at some of the numbers and just where he was, he easily would have had over 100 yard or 100 touchdown catches in his career.
Absolutely.
Because he would have had prime Brett.
Absolutely.
I mean, over 10,000, 11,000 yards receiving easily.
Easily.
And it's just like, and this was during an era you had Rice, Carter, Brown, Reed,
even
Hall of Famers.
Andre Rison.
Yeah.
I mean, you had guys that were, I mean,
and a lot of those guys I mentioned too just had good quarterbacks throwing them the ball too.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And Sterling Sharp, to me, he just, again, I look at Hudson and what he did in his era, and I look at Sharp and what he did in his era, and again, both transformational in their own way, where they changed the game and they changed the game the way defenses had to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved about this was Sharp back in the day is you knew he was getting the ball.
Yeah.
You knew he was getting the ball, especially, when you've got Sterling Sharp and Sanjay Beach on the other side, you knew Sterling Sharp was getting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing could stop him. And the thing that really I celebrate, or I really am amazed at, and Packer fans, look at this. Look at the percentage of targets versus catches
mm-hmm.
for Sterling Sharp. It was high. And so even when you're looking at 102, 103 catches, 150, 160 targets is not a lot to
mm-hmm.
get to 102 catches. And so that catch percentage too, yeah, he was fun to watch, man.
Yeah.
And I saw Green and Gold this past weekend.
Oh, how was it?
Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. And of course, the movie is taking place in the 93 season.
Ooh. Okay.
And so you go to that Detroit playoff game.
Yeah.
Where Favre's running around
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden he circles back and stops and hits Sharp. And Sharp had 3 touchdowns that day.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me back seeing some of those Sterling Sharp highlights because they intersperse
mm-hmm.
some of the game highlights in the movie. By the way, yeah, cried the whole way, the whole movie. So, I mean, it's Craig T. Nelson, awesome work. It was just if you are from Wisconsin,
mm-hmm.
you've got to see that movie.
I think it's going to really, if it happens, I don't want to assume it's going to, but when I go to Lambeau Field and I see Sharp's name on the facade and Holmgren's name on the facade, because that's when I was a kid, that's when
I was going to
really
say, that was you growing up.
Yep. Obviously Favre's up there and White, but you add Holmgren and Sharp to that, and then it's already up there with Wolf and Favre and White and Butler, and it's like, that's already kind of giving me goosebumps because that's,
no doubt. No doubt. And you hit it on the head when you said, look, going back to Sharp, it was 93 when he retired,
mm-hmm.
or 94?
93? 94.
After maybe it was 94.
94,
after the 93 season.
Yep.
So and you look at it, of course, Green Bay wins the Super Bowl in 97.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're saying Sterling Sharp's Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
Because look what Green Bay had to do that season. They go out and pick an Andre Rison off the scrap heap,
mm-hmm.
and Antonio Freeman playing with a broken arm, and those types of things. And so, Don Beebe and all those types of, bringing in Desmond Howard. And of course, he was more special teams. But you look at the trajectory of that football team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because Green and Gold talks about it a lot, that there's something brewing with this football team for the first time in a long time. And if you add Sterling Sharp to that, you probably win a second Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, what is the announcement Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday.
Okay, Saturday. Yeah, I'm hoping, and I think they both deserve it.
I do too. All right. Pick time.
Do I have to even watch this Super Bowl?
You sound like everybody I've talked to with that. So
yeah, you know what?
You don't have to, but we will.
No, I know, I will. I've got a coaches retreat this weekend. So where some of us coaches are getting out of town and kind of putting together our plan for the fall, but in summer and fall. But so I'm going to be watching with some other coaches. Here's the thing. Three-peat is a hard thing. And I don't care what people say. The Packers did it. All right. And I know it wasn't 3 Super Bowls. I get it, but the Packers did it. Twice. and so it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at that Packers-Eagles game and feeling all along, even though Green Bay wasn't playing well offensively, just one break, a scoop and score or something, I think tilts that the other way. And so Philadelphia doesn't impress me.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Reid's a heck of a coach. I don't care what you think about Mahomes. He's a heck of a quarterback. They've got go-to guys that have been in these games. I'm picking Kansas City. Not because I want to,
right.
But objectively, I'm saying they're the better football team.
I just love Andy Reid so much.
I do too.
And that's such a big what if.
Yeah, no doubt. And and I had a chance to meet him when he was here in Green Bay, and he's just a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at some of the challenges that he's had in his personal life with his kids and that type of thing, and you look at not winning it with Philadelphia, and now almost really reinventing himself with Kansas City in that offense. And so, yeah, I'm an Andy Reid guy.
Made himself a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think Kansas City is the better football team. I think Andy Reid is a heck of a football coach. And I think the bottom line is Kansas City wins this. I don't think it's going to be close.
All right. There you go. Dude, appreciate the
I'm
time
the
as
first
always.
one on the board.
You're the first one up, so I'll get the red marker for you.
All right, sounds good, man.
All right, thanks, buddy. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more. Hit us up with some texts or comment on the video streams. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. No trade rumors yet surrounding the Bucks acquiring Kevin Durant at this point. I don't know if did you see those Vegas odds, Lucas?
I did not.
So there's a rumor out there that the Suns potentially may be looking to move Kevin Durant, and the Bucks are top 3, top 2 in some Vegas odds that are for a potential landing spot.
You okay with that?
Why the hell not? You got to win now, right? I mean, if I don't know how. I'll just do this. So ESPN has an NBA trade machine that you can try to do trades. I couldn't figure it out because they factor in the money in the tiers and all that, aprons. Couldn't do it. It was too hard for me, so I gave up. It's that difficult. I put Middleton, Portis, Pat, and 2 other players for KD, and it still didn't work. So I don't know how they. I mean, I would assume that you have to do like a 3 or 4 team deal to make something like that work.
Yeah, I'm not sure what, but this is. I mean, we keep forgetting the Jazz were part of the Luka trade,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
There would be something more to this. Do you think he ultimately goes?
I don't think KD goes.
It's been picking up a lot
It
in the last
has.
like 48 hours.
And part of it too is it also coincided with the rumor out there that the Warriors are trying to find a star to pair up with Steph Curry. So I don't know if that, because there was one that they called on Giannis, there was a LeBron rumor over there too. And it's like, so I don't know if that's where it kind of really picked up steam, but I don't know. I don't know. I still have my doubts on it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess at this point I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think right now after the whole Luka trade, nobody should be surprised about anything, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, what was your reaction when you heard that?
I had the what look. I got now I bypassed the whole is Shams hacked thing because it came on an ESPN notification. So at that point, it's going to be legit because it's filtered more and they're going to only send out something that they've confirmed. But yeah, I was sitting on my computer. I was just like, I think it was just like doing random stuff, but I didn't go to any social media or anything. So I'm doing that for like a half hour. Okay, that's cool. Let me get in the shower and pick up my phone before I go to what? It was my reaction. Well, maybe not quite those words, but that was what was yours?
I didn't know about it till the next morning. And my buddy, his message was Lucas Davis, huh? I'm like, what? Like I didn't know what he meant. Like I didn't know he was referring to a trade. I didn't know he was referring to Anthony Davis and Luka. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I responded to him with a question mark, but Jake takes forever sometimes to respond. So then I just happened to log on here. I'm like, oh, that. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because yeah, like right after that, because I'm one of those night shower types, and that's all I could think of. I was like, wow, this happened. Like that, like it occupies and your mind. Like what, as a sports fan, like what in the world? And of course, like the running joke about all the emergency pod notifications going off in the middle of the night.
Yeah. That was good.
I only listened to one emergency pod on this. That was the Simmons one. But if you're going to listen to one, it was the Simmons one. Got to pick and choose in situations like this.
Yeah, I think now, I mean, to quote the great Kevin Garnett, anything is possible now.
Anything is possible. That almost makes me feel a little worse about what happened to the Wolves back in the spring. Like, well, lost to the Mavs. Well, that didn't even mean anything for that team. Like now he's with the Lakers. Like whatever.
Well, speaking of the Wolves, I did see a question that was thrown on social media yesterday. Should they trade Julius Randle?
Maybe. He's not a long-term Minnesota Timberwolf. I think the thinking was that ideally he wouldn't take his player option for next year's kind of go bye-bye. He's probably going to take that because I don't think there's that much of a market for him. So unfortunately for the Wolves, I think he sticks around. And maybe that's why there's a thought of trading him because he hasn't fully fit in. I think there was the thought that he never was fully going to fit in, which you're like, well, why would you trade Cat? Again, it's long-term financial. It's allowing the Wolves to have flexibility further down the road so that they can win championships. Maybe not necessarily this year, but so you have a window that goes towards like 2029, 2030 or so. And then on the long end. So I'd be okay with it. It's not the highest priority, but yeah, if they do that, that's good. I think I think I said before, I think they're going to do something to get a little more competitive. And the Luka Doncic trade does not automatically mean that, oh, well, West is done. Lakers are not even close. I'm not sure if the Lakers are going to get out of the second round.
Well, everybody's all up on the Mavs now. Even Barkley says they're the second best team in the West now.
The Mavericks?
Yeah.
With Davis?
With Davis and Kyrie now and such.
I mean, okay. I mean, I guess that's possible. It shouldn't just...
That's another team that's been rumored for KD.
Oh, boy. Now, okay, now that would be a plot twist.
Yeah.
Durant goes to the Mavericks. This is still Oklahoma City's to lose. To be real. And anyone else is competing for the opportunity to play them in the Western Conference Finals and maybe in the semis. realistically for a good series. It's longer term, it keeps the Lakers competitive. Longer term, I don't know what this means for the Mavericks, but I don't know that either one makes one team terrible or sublime. I guess I'm a little annoyed that this keeps the Lakers good for a while. Like, of course they figured this out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not anti-Lakers, but I get annoyed by the hype. And I understand the hype. It's like the Cowboys and the Yankees and all that sort of stuff. And Duke. So there they go again. But no, I don't think this is going to shut, like, I'm looking as a Timberwolves fan. Like, this does not shut the window on the Wolves for the next few years. No. It shifts around the competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. Okay, so it depends on who they end up playing in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, you think it's going to be an active next 36 hours or so?
I think so. I
You
mean, of course, nothing's going to top what we just saw, but it's there will be movement. I'm not sure though how much we'll be reacting to this trade because it was so unforeseen, and teams aren't going to change their next 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And I'd say 8 years because of how far out we go with second round picks. That they're going to change that approach. Let's see. So this was Saturday night. Was the trade?
Yeah, late Saturday night.
So
I was already night time.
Yeah, 3.5 days later. They're not going to completely change all of that for, like I said, a trade that doesn't unequivocally make one team so much better that how does anyone else compete? I might wonder that if, like, just based on how this season's going, what if Oklahoma City had gotten Luka for like nothing? Mm-hmm. Okay, now you're going, wait a minute, are they going to lose a game again? That I'd be more concerned about that if I were another GM. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be changes entirely Luka based, but I think there's going to be motion. I think we'll have a decent trade deadline.
Yeah, I think there will be some, but you're right. I mean, there's not going to be a Luka and Davis one or anything like that, unless KD. But I don't think even KD is going to get a superstar in return. Like the Luka Anthony Davis sort of thing. So the one team that's got really high odds, that's actually a little ahead of the Bucks and some of them, is the Wizards for KD. And I don't know if it's a Washington connection because
hometown,
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
gosh, the Wizards are terrible too.
I know, right?
Why would you? I mean, the hometown thing is the only reason to go to Washington.
Mm-hmm.
The Wizards suck.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're bad.
Because I would imagine, I mean, that's the other one that's picking up steam for the Bucks is Kyle Kuzma for Chris Middleton. That one's actually really picking up steam.
And before anyone's like, yeah, well, they beat your Timberwolves. You know who was not playing for the Timberwolves during that game? Yep. Edwards and Randall. Like they kind of waved the white flag a little bit on that one, and then they ended up losing. But still, Wizards are bad. Mm-hmm. So no, I don't see them at all. No, they're not.
No.
I don't think Durant moves. If I have to make a final prediction, I think he stays with the Suns the rest of the season. After that, I don't know.
Yeah, I do too. I think he finishes off with the Suns. So, and then that means tomorrow we'll be talking about him being traded probably. So there you go.
Gosh, if it's to the Wizards, that might be the one thing that could. Okay, the three places that probably would get the most reaction. Well, 4 Celtics, obviously. Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Warriors reunited, and also the Wizards would be the one of like, what? Mm-hmm. Really? Hometown? But what? Anything other than that would just be like, honestly, a Bucks move would be probably a good move, but it wouldn't get a lot of attention and compared to what it otherwise could get.
Mm-hmm. All right, Shot Clock's going to cut us off here in about 10 seconds. So we got stock reports coming up next, whose stock is rising and whose stocks are falling. We'll make our picks. We'll get back to some more, maybe some more football talk as the Super Bowl is just a few days away now. We'll do some Super Bowl tidbits that have been going on this past few days and so. So got some news updates, and we'll be back here in just a couple minutes to tip off the third hour. Final hour on this, not Monday, Wednesday. Thank gosh it's not Monday. So, but big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in. Whether it's on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM, also online, sportstalk1051.com. We've got some stock reports coming up here in just a skosh. I kind of forgot about this, Luke. So when we were talking about the Hall of Fame a little bit earlier, I forgot they changed the date. So the honors like on tomorrow night, because I just saw Schefter tweet this, okay, with his podcast. Eli Manning already knows whether he will or won't be a part of the Hall of Fame class. His brother Peyton doesn't. Everyone else will find out Thursday night.
What?
So did they change the honor, the show?
Maybe. Let's see. It is happening Thursday,
Okay.
8 p.m. on Fox and NFL Network.
So it's tomorrow.
I guess
so. We're going to find out tomorrow whether Sharp or Holmgren is going to get in.
Apparently so.
All right. We don't have to wait as long. I like it. Way to actually do something nice here, NFL. So, all right. Okay.
But are we, and hopefully we don't like have it dribbling out throughout the day again, like with everything else. Okay. So is this really going to be like legit live? We find out the MVP when everyone else finds out the MVP?
I doubt it.
Not like, oh, so-and-so wins the MVP. Look for more later tonight. Like what?
Yeah, it'll be tweeted out, and then, then you can watch it an hour later.
I hated that. Ooh.
Hate that. So, I think they're going to get in. Because remember, the rules are different now.
Right. Okay, yeah, because
they've got, so for just the senior, they got 3 senior finalists, 1 coach finalist, 1 contributor finalist. A max of 3 of those 5 can get in.
3 of the 5. Okay, so trying to find the whole list.
A minimum of 1, a max of 3 can get in
from
that group of 5 right there. Not counting the modern ones.
Okay, from the senior group. So that's
senior,
Holmgren,
coach,
Tyler,
and contributor.
Sharp, Bond, and Hay. So
because back it used to be, you're a senior finalist, you're pretty much in.
Right.
They didn't have like the max sort of thing.
That's like a group. So if it's 1 to 3 of the 5, I think Holmgren gets in. Trying to remind myself of.
I think Holmgren's the one. The fact that he's a finalist now, I think he will be a finalist again if he doesn't make it. But there's a couple coaches right behind him that could really push it, and I'm talking Mike Shanahan and Tom Coughlin because they have the 2 Super Bowl titles.
Tyler's off-field thing, it's not going to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're not supposed to count that, but be a factor. I'm thinking Holmgren gets in. You know what? I think it'll be Holmgren and Sharp.
That'd be so. I could guarantee you. Okay, I won't guarantee. 99.2% guarantee you. If Holmgren and Sharp get in this tomorrow night, I was going to say this weekend, but it's tomorrow night.
Yes, it is tomorrow night. I double checked and they said Hall of Fame, February 6th.
If it is, I'll guarantee it. Packers get the Hall of Fame game. I mean, that's 2 guys, right?
Well, right. From the 90s? Yeah.
They're going to get the Hall of Fame game. And then if Eli's in, it'll probably be like Packers Giants or something like that.
Right. I don't think Eli Manning's getting in. I saw what Peter King Peter King showed up.
Really? I missed it.
There's a little video clip I saw. You know how he very occasionally will do something? He doesn't think so.
Does he, since he retired, is he still a voter?
I'm not sure if he is.
Because if he doesn't think so, if he's already out there, maybe he's not then.
Maybe he can comment on this. I don't. Where did I see the clip? And I'm looking through my.
Because he wouldn't know the results if he's still a voter, I would think.
Maybe. Let's see. So it's from Andrew Perloff, from Maggie and Perloff. There's like there's a minute-long clip here where he's talking about this. And
you want to play it?
Yes, I'll bring it up right here. I don't think anything else is playing. So here's from the beginning. Minute 12.
I'd be surprised if he got in this year. First of all, I think there's some tremendous first year and early competitors among the modern era candidates. I could give a crap whether a guy gets in on the first ballot, second, third, fourth, whatever. It doesn't matter. The job of a Hall of Fame voter, and I am not one anymore,
All
but
right.
the job of a Hall of Fame voter is to select the best players or the best coaches, whoever it is, that year. I'm not involved in it. I don't know what is going to happen, but there seems to be a lot of noise out there that even though Eli had the 2 superior years, that his candidacy is kind of marred by the fact that that's it. In terms of making great noise in the playoffs, he had 2 years. Now, you beat the great Belichick and the great Brady twice. That says a lot to me. In my opinion, he is a Hall of Famer. I don't see him getting in this year with the competition he has.
Interesting. So he's not a voter. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
okay.
that answers a few things right there. So his opinion, no, but he's now a step removed.
That's
So,
I agree with the fact about first, second, third, and that's where I wish like baseball almost would like get rid. Like I feel like we pay attention a lot to it. If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer, but we pay so much attention to whether a person was first ballot, second ballot, third ballot.
I'm not as I guess it was annoying that there was one person that didn't vote for Ichiro Suzuki.
Right, and that's where I'm like, okay, can we just if there's going to be stupid people like that, then maybe we don't release the percentages at that point because then we make it a bigger deal.
Right. Yeah, because we don't know in football.
Right.
About that. We don't know. And the other sports, the Hall of Fames don't, or Halls of Fame, I suppose would be the right way to say it, don't matter as much. It's football and baseball are the 2 ones that are the biggest deals. And by the way, how, I think you might have just answered this, but were you like upset about Ichiro not getting
yes
unanimity?
Yeah.
But how upset? Like some people seem genuinely outraged, and some are like, whatever, he got in.
I mean, I'm not like it didn't ruin my day. It's just it's annoyingly upset. Like, okay, why?
Yeah.
For that one voter, man up and say why. You know what I mean? Like, come out and say why.
I mean, if I had voted no, I would have probably explained like whatever the reason. And I wouldn't have any problem doing that and being like, look, and then they're not doing that. Like, really?
And this is not a knock on him, but since we've already had one, just Mariano Rivera is the only one. It's not a knock on him, but we've had one already. So, I mean, it can't be an excuse. Well, there hasn't been one, so I'm not going to vote. Can't. We got one. That wall is knocked down.
Unless they're trying to do the whole, yeah, but others who should have. So I'm using the old standard and applying it to the current standard. Like, oh, well, great. But we have no idea. We're speculating. Maybe that person genuinely thought 10 other people were better. Which sounds incredible, but maybe they did. Like, all right, well, they have a vote. I don't know.
So when we do our picks and predicts, let's do the Hall of Fame then.
Yeah.
So
and it's the same. Is the same for the modern that it's 5.
5. Yep.
Max.
Yep. 5 max for mod. So 8 total is a max.
Got it.
5 and then the 3 are the 5 for the other categories. So,
okay.
Yep. So yeah, we'll do that towards the back end. Let's do some stock reports though. Whose stock is rising?
I will say the Washington Commanders overall, and beyond on field, I think even off field now. Now they've settled on the name. They're going to be the Commanders going forward. But I like that they're like they said their look. Their play-by-play announcer said they're going to be kind of going back to the older look, modernizing that. Like I think between all of that, now they're going to it's a negotiation process, but the stadium might actually happen at the RFK site. It's something like it feels like. They've finally figured out, and it takes time. It wasn't going to be an overnight thing, but they figured out how to currently exist and be and have the image of a good football team beyond also being a good football team. I don't know that I would predict them to get back to the NFC Championship game next year, even as good as Daniels is much more competent as the organization, as the football team has become. I don't know that they're gonna even challenge the Eagles next year. Like they got work to do, but the other stuff, it feels like we're gonna be once and for all past that. Not these questions. Like 10 years from now, they're probably gonna be dressed pretty similar to the Gibbs era with the modernization. They'll be the Commanders. They probably will have gone on another playoff run. They'll be in a new stadium, and they're going to be a normal football team, and we'll be done with all the Snyder once and for all. So, yeah, I think generally it feels like they've It's been up, down, up, down, up, down, down. Now we're on an uphill incline. And it doesn't really matter to Packers, Vikings, Bears fans around here, whatever. But it's good to see an organization settle, given some of the tire fires around the league.
Yeah.
That one tire fire seems now extinguished.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah. I think that's a good one. By the way, it sure feels like it's not going to be the Yetis. Oh man.
But okay, so what do you think on the logos? You saw the 3 logos that were leaked, and they are legit.
Yeah.
And so if they went Utah Hockey Club, the logo would be a Yeti. Is that enough to pull you back? Logo, and you know full well if they choose that, it's going to be like with soccer. Take Minnesota United; they're always called the Loons, even though that's a genuine unofficial nickname. You know they would be called the Yetis, unofficially so.
Yeah. You're talking about like it's the side face. I mean, there's the Outlaws, the Mammoth, and then the hockey club. It's a Yeti over there.
Yeah,
it's like a mountain as the top of his head.
Yeah,
for the Yeti's head,
they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. That's the best they're going to be able to pull off. But you know that's the way to do it if it wins. Would that be enough to make you a Utah Hockey Club permanently fan?
I do like the color scheme.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a little North Carolina vibe to it.
But so did the Kraken.
That's true. Oh, that's tough.
And you don't have to be unofficial there. I mean, you know.
That's tough. I'd have to think about it a little bit.
Let's see what the actual result is, because then they may end up going Outlaws, and then that answers that.
Right. Honestly, Outlaws kind of fits it better if you want to go with your Western history a little bit.
That's true.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I had my hopes up. Just saying.
You can blame Yeti coolers for that one.
As I'm drinking coffee out of my Yeti right now, actually.
Ironic.
And I've got my water bottle that is a Yeti. So there you go. Yeah. Can't blame them because I actually like their stuff. So
there you go.
Thanks. Okay. Back to my stock riser. My stock riser, I am gonna go with I was actually gonna go with Holmgren and Sharp. So I'll just cut it short there because we've talked about that enough.
There you go.
Because I think it's trending. I'll just say it. I don't want to get my hopes up because it's like my youth is coming back into play right now. So 90s, boom, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to, like I was saying this with Joe, when next time I go to Lambeau and their names are up there, that to me is going to be a weird feeling. And maybe that's what's going to make me feel really old then at that point.
Yeah.
Because yes, you have the Favre, but we knew those, right? I mean, okay, Favre, yes. But then when you see Favre, White, Butler, Wolf, and then Holmgren and Sharp potentially, oof, that's going to be something.
To see now, I mean, even though Favre is already in, like you knew he was going to be a Hall of Famer. So that's like, it's like too removed to have a personal connection. As good as Holmgren was, I mean, he's not on the Mount Rushmore of all-time coaches. He's very good, but he's not Mount Rushmore.
Right. You
could make a case for Favre. Yeah, it's a borderline, but you can.
Well, do the top 10. Favre, you can make a case he's a top 10. They did that just a couple of years ago, right? Holmgren's not a top 10 coach of all time.
No. And Sharp is definitely not a top 10 wide receiver of all time. Yes, I know, trending, but he was not.
Right.
That's
unfortunately.
Right. So that's one where, for again, that generation, that's going to be a little bit more of a, like, if you know, you know. I mean, that's almost underrating him, but kind of. He's definitely been forgotten in terms of the annals of the 90s Packers comeback. And I know people mean, no, he didn't forget. Most of the talk is Holmgren, Favre, Wolf, White, Butler, all of those. And they skip past Sharp, even though Sharp was part of like 3 years of the turnaround. And I know it stopped partway through the third, but he was a big part of that. But because of that, the name, unfortunately, gets left behind. Should not be. And this would be a good way to right that wrong.
I agree. Stock faller.
I'll say the Minnesota Wild, between Kirill Kaprizov being going into surgery, which, okay, that's good. Get that lower back issue figured out once and for all. But I mean, there's no way he's winning the Hart Trophy, and that's going to take up a chunk of the season. But now Ryan Hartman getting a 10-game suspension. That's a lot. Probably shouldn't be using your elbow to knock a guy's head into the ice. Let's just not. is a pretty key player, and he's gone. I mean, he'll try to appeal, but that's knowing the way the NHL works. If there is a reduction, it might be like a game. That's more key people gone, and I know John Hines has done a great job. I've mentioned before as being the coach, getting this team together with a lot of injuries, and a lot of the players have played a lot better. But this, I say, a stock fall this year in terms of lowering the ceiling on what they probably can do with the playoffs. Remember, I think a fair number of projections had them missing the playoffs. They may end up falling back to that. Again, long term's looking good. There was an interesting point made on the last Worst Seats in the House podcast, Michael Russo from The Athletic, and Anthony Lepanton, that said, for Kaprizov, because again, he pretty soon could be a free agent. The injuries he's had might make him less appealing to other teams, where the Wild are still going to want to pay him. That might be just enough to guarantee that the Wild keep him long term, and the Wild will be happy with that. Like, they're not going to be worried. They're like, no, we trust this guy. We know what he can do. Other teams don't have the information the Wild have. I'm kind of contradicting the long term stock, but this season, it started great, and they built a big cushion. I don't think they're going to go on much of a run, if any, if they end up making the playoffs. That being said, there's enough of a gap. They may end up being like the 7th or 8th seed just because there's not that much coming up from behind them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, Hudson watched Mighty Ducks the other day. The North Star scenes with Mike Madonna's in there. So still grind your gears.
Yeah, still. Sorry.
Because that was 92 when that movie came out, so I was right at the end there.
Right before, yes. I mean, I wasn't too happy with Madonna early on with the move, but then again, that's also when you're a teenager, and anyone who says anything.
What did Madonna do to you?
I can't remember what he said, but it's like those quotes early on, like, yeah, I think we're going to do great in Dallas, and we're looking forward to, like, how dare you? It's the classic overreaction. Like, in retrospect.
So he was saying the company line, essentially.
It's probably something like that. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember at the time thinking traitor. And then since then, like, he's re-embraced Minnesota, other stuff. Like, yeah, it's bygones are totally bygones at this point. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think Brett Hull said something similar, like, and after a while you'll realize, no, that Norm Green's the enemy and everyone else they kind of have to do what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
My stock faller, Badger football. I know it's like the National Signing Day and such, but yesterday the news that their general manager, Max Steinecker, is leaving for a position with USC. And from people that I trust when it comes to Badger football knowledge, a lot of them saying this is a huge, huge loss for the Badger football program. Obviously, it's a term that I think we're starting to get used to in college sports is general manager, and part of the recruiting process. And this is a position now where you're starting to see. I mean, Huey Davis just said North Carolina is going to get a general manager for basketball, for crying out loud. So, Bill Belichick hired Mike Lombardi to be his general manager for North Carolina. Mm-hmm. But from everybody out there saying this is a huge loss for this Badger football team. So he's going to USC. And I mean, the Badger football team was already under, Luke Fickell and this program under a big spotlight and hot seat and such. So now you lose perhaps a very key figure within that organization, within that program to help you out with recruiting. Takes you another dive down. So, yeah, Badger football.
Do you think if the Super League happens, just probably talking a decade out, so this is, I'll preface this by saying this is kind of a stupid question because there's a lot personnel-wise. Think the Badgers would make the cut? We've assumed they would be. Of course, they would be one of the prime, like 32-odd, 36-odd teams. Are we sure about that?
Probably not. Not at this point in time. Probably not. No.
I mean, if you chose today, I think they still would today because of their overall 30-plus years of history.
What's the criteria? You going based off of what, like recency effect, like the last couple of years?
If it's that, then no.
Right.
But there are
overall, if you go like pedigree, maybe then yeah.
That's the thing. The pedigree is still there, but how many more years of is it going to take? Now, if Nebraska is still in, well then, okay. there's a school that had a heck of a pedigree, then had a heck of a bad run, but it's still Nebraska.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about the U. there's a team that's underwhelmed a lot.
Yeah.
But then they'll make their way into the top 10. Like, I think right now, if you had to do a 32-36 team Super League, right now, I think Wisconsin makes it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in the discussion of, could they be competing for the football bowl second tier championship? And it's Wisconsin versus Vanderbilt for the championship.
Nice. I'm in for that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll tell you what, let's take a quick break here and we'll get back to some more stuff over here too. I was trying to see. I thought there was nope, never mind. Be careful with fake accounts too with these trade stuff.
Yep.
Right? It's that season again. All right. Quick break. We'll be back here in just a few minutes. Sounds like we may be getting some snow coming up tomorrow morning or overnight over there, Lucas. So might be a good idea to pay attention to sportstalk1051.com for the WEAU 13 News First Alert School Closings and Delays, brought to you by Hovland's and ServiceMaster. That link is right up on our homepage on the left-hand side there. So just click on that and be weather aware potentially if there's any delays or closings coming at you tomorrow. So, all right. Shall we? Well, nothing really yet in terms of some more rumors and rumblings out there in the NBA.
Well, okay. And as you said that, I got this notification on my phone from ESPN. Another blockbuster? Brian Windhorst details a complicated multiple-team trade. So now I already think it's not going to happen because now with the details are out. Durant to the Warriors, Butler to the Suns.
Durant to the Warriors, Butler. Interesting.
With more details, but again, like at this point, I'm not going to. Let's wait till when's the trade deadline again?
Tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, so yeah, at this point I want to sit back and let it all happen.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not putting a whole lot of faith or hype into it, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it. So
yeah. If it happens, it happens.
I feel like the one that could happen for the Bucks is Kyle Kuzma. I honestly I feel like that's more realistic.
Kuzma for Chris?
Yeah.
Would you be okay with that?
I'd be okay with it. I think my main thing is Giannis okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
That's still I'm still of that mindset. Like I don't know what his reaction is going to be like. That's his bro. That's his buddy. You know, because they don't make these trades without his approval, right?
Right.
They can't.
There's not going to be the supposed LeBron surprise, which I mean. Well, and another Windhorst thing he was saying this morning, like he thinks, from what he understands, everyone's reaction is genuine. There's no, what do they? No, like if like LeBron was surprised, it's because he was surprised.
Mm-hmm.
That really is what happened. So maybe so.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, but then you know what's going to happen if they make a move that he didn't know and surprise. You know what the next thing's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis is upset, wants out of Milwaukee. He's going to go to Brooklyn. He's going to go to Golden State. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know that they're even going to make the Kuzma trade. My guess is Chris Middleton will still be a Buck come tomorrow night.
Should John Horst be on the hot seat? Because the Bucks are 4 games above 500 right now. I mean, he's the general manager that has created the situation for the Bucks. He's an aggressive general manager, as we've seen. And yes, he helped them win a championship with some of his moves. But you factor in the coaching stuff and all that. Should John Horst be on the hot seat?
I think he should be if he makes a move here and it doesn't make any difference. And provided there's not some fluky, like Giannis was injured for a month and a half. Well, okay, now I know why they didn't do well in the playoffs. If everyone's healthy and they don't really do anything in the playoffs and they made moves, yes, at that point, I think so. I still think he's a little overrated.
Mm-hmm.
He's made some good moves. He's made some odd moves over time. Having a championship sure quieted a lot of that. Keeping Giannis also quieted a lot of that. But let's this year, I think we could actually make an evaluation.
It is. I don't know if we can really. It's different because, football, I mean, like you can look at a general manager and be like, you look at their draft picks and, are they successful building that way? The NBA, they just trade them all over the place. Like we can ask, when was the last time, we criticized Goody. Here's the example. We criticized Goody for his lack of success in first round picks for the Packers. Been pretty good in the afterwards. When was the last time a Bucks first round pick actually, first of all, when they actually had one and when it actually panned out for a while? When was the last time? Dante DiVincenzo for a minute?
Yeah, that's still to be determined.
And Malcolm Brogdon was a second round pick, and that didn't last long either.
No.
Giannis, and that was even a horse pick. So no. I mean, for crying out loud, we criticize Goody for that. The NBA is different because it's just trade those picks and all that. But I don't know how to grade. I mean, Horst is he almost just like I don't know. I mean, he's got an empty checkbook. It seems like at times, and just goes out there and like tries to accumulate. I mean, the Jay Crowder trade now looks worse. I think the 3 second-round picks for Jay Crowder that lasted like a year and a half.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
So I mean, there's definitely some questionable stuff over there. But you're right. I think it goes to the whole success can mask a lot of things.
He became general manager in 2017. So you can really start with the 2017 draft, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking DJ Wilson, Sindarius Thornwell, Dante DiVincenzo, Kevin Porter, Jordan Nwora, RJ Hampton, Isaiah Todd, Marjon Beauchamp, Chris Livingston, Tyler Smith, and AJ Johnson.
Yeah, it's DiVincenzo then, isn't it? As the best pick.
That's basically it in his era.
Because I know I remember when that was like John Hammond was going to Orlando or stepping aside. And I think Horst was the director of basketball operations at the time, and he got promoted. I know that was a surprise by a lot of people because they had this assistant GM in waiting. I think he's a GM in Utah now.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt like, okay, and they bypassed that. So I don't know. I mean, he spent a lot, and, I'll give him credit. I mean, he re-signs Eric Bledsoe, but then he's able to get out of that and acquire Drew Holiday. I think the Drew Holiday trade, we were talking about trades earlier in the week, like what were some of the best and worst Wisconsin sports trades of all time. I do put the Drew Holiday one up there because I think that was the missing key for that team to win a championship. Drew Holiday over Eric Bledsoe was an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
I think we would all agree with that.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
he was able to correct that mistake and bring in Drew Holiday. But I think if you ask some Bucks fans, they probably still would rather have Drew Holiday than Damian Lillard at this point.
Yeah.
Some do.
By the way, again, I mentioned some of those names, and again, the way that the listings go, it's like who officially drafted the team, the player, even if they were immediately spun around to another team, like momentarily later, but they're still listed as being the draft pick, which throws it off again.
Oh, yeah.
And this isn't NBA.com. This is other ones. Like, folks, you're messing with our minds here. Like, like if you have a little bit of, I know some people probably remember exactly everything. Not all of us remember exactly who was drafted by who. I hate this. We're going to go through this again in June of like, no, they were drafted by this, but they were traded, and then they were traded at the.
Well, I saw that graphic too when Luka was traded, and they had the like who he was drafted, like the first round or the first top 10 picks, where they were drafted and where they're at now. So like technically Luka's listed as Atlanta because it was the Trae Young trade.
Gosh.
And Trae Young's listed as Dallas, even though he'd never played a minute for them.
Why do we do this?
I saw that. I'm like, yeah, that's a little confusing there. I mean, I get it technically, but still, come on now.
It's so
we don't do that for football, for crying out loud, in the NFL draft.
No, like the other ones, we all get it. And for some reason, like we're hung up on, no, it's officially who was this person, and that's how the record books go. Yes, technically, but yeah, I'm looking at the Hawks draft history right now. Luka Doncic selected for an NBA All-Star game. That looks great. No reference at all. And this is Wikipedia. No reference to him immediately being traded. If you had no idea otherwise, you'd be like, wow, the Hawks did great in 2018.
That Vince Carter moment when he was with the Golden State Warriors and Antoine Jameson with the Raptors, that was pretty special. Or when Scottie Pippen, that time he was with the Sonics, the Supersonics.
Yeah.
That right there. Or Chris Webber with the Orlando Magic. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Penny with Golden State. Yep.
Can we collectively change this, everybody? Can we just make it clear who ended up with who?
They're good trivia questions.
They're really good trivia questions because you don't know the answers.
Yeah, unless you're a diehard that knows some of them.
Oh, my gosh.
But, yeah, they're good trivia questions.
So lame.
They can really trip you up on some of them.
Yeah.
Who drafted Vince Carter? What team drafted Vince Carter? Toronto? Nope, sorry. Golden State.
Yep.
What? But my card doesn't say. Actually, card in the back might actually say drafted by, but like stat wise, those lines it won't say that. So
the Kobe thing is the classic.
Oh yeah, Kobe too. Yep, Kobe. That's a good
Charlotte
one.
Hornets. Yep. Kobe Bryant.
Very good one
for the record books.
Yep.
He's a Charlotte Hornet draft pick, and look at what career he ended up having as a result.
Yep, that's a good one. That's a good one. That would be a good top 5 list. Like the best players but they were drafted by, what I'm saying? Like, so Kobe would be up towards the top. That you didn't know they were drafted by this team, actually, originally.
Yeah.
Kobe would be up there. Vince Carter's Pippen. I remember as a kid looking at Pippen cards in the back and saying, Sonics, Supersonics. And then always wondering, like, well, how come it doesn't say, like, whatever year he was drafted, that, it says Bulls and his stat line. It never said Sonics on there.
This is fast rising to, and it always has been an annoyance, but it's fast rising to like the number one thing in sports that annoys me that really doesn't make any difference, but yet like will actually put me in a bad mood for like 5 minutes. Because I'm just like, why are we doing this?
That could be a good Festivus for you.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yep. All right, let's take a break, and then we're going to make some picks, including some Hall of Fame picks, because apparently it's tomorrow already. Which I'm A-okay with. We don't need to draw this thing out. So, all right, quick break. We'll be back after these few words. Time for some picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room. Reminder, Wednesday nights are trivia nights at the Elbow Room right here in Eau Claire, located next to the Banbury place. Let's do some games first before we get to the Hall of Fame, shall we? So let's start it off with the NBA. We know the Buttness. Maybe it'll be interesting to see the inactive list tonight, right?
Mhm.
That's what the whole KD thing kind of spiraled out. Like, no, now he's listed out with an ankle, sitting out. Is that doubtful?
Yeah, there's a lot of stay away potential tonight.
So before we get to the Bucks one over there, let's do Miami versus Philly.
Okay. The Butler matchup.
With no Butler.
Right. Two teams that have had the experiences with Jimmy Butler, shall we say. I'll take the Heat.
I will go with Philly. I'm gonna go Philly. Let's do Phoenix at Oklahoma City.
I will go the potentially rested again Kevin Durant. It'll be the Thunder.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Thunder too. Orlando at Sacramento.
There was a team that actually did make a move. I'll take the Kings.
I'm gonna go Sacramento too. We'll do then Chicago at Minnesota.
I'll take the T-Wolves.
And we'll do Milwaukee at Charlotte.
Feels like one of those games the Bucks would end up losing.
Well, they lost 4 in a row right now, so
yeah. I will have them off the schneid. I say they win.
Yeah, I mean that Thunder game was kind of a throwaway when your top 6 players are all sitting out.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Wolves Wizards game. Like, okay, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
well, it's still 4 in a row. It's not great.
No, I'll go Milwaukee, picking up a win tonight. So, all right. You know what? While we do this, let me stall here for a second, okay? Because you probably know what I'm going to do right now. So, we're going to make our picks for the Pro Football Hall of Fame because it's tomorrow, which I'm glad. Thank you, Adam Schefter, for tweeting out your podcast link with that because I would have assumed it was this weekend.
You've been surprised getting like notifications like, hey, they're in the Hall.
I told Joe it was this week. Yeah, so I'm like, oh, it's Saturday. Like, it's not. It's Thursday. So,
coming up, yeah.
But let's go ahead and do it. Is it going to? There we go. The Hall of Fame theme song. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
Now it feels official, right?
Yes.
So we'll start with our modern picks. Okay. The modern era players. You want me to go through a list here quick for everybody?
Yes.
These are your 15 finalists. Reminder, a max of 5 can be taken out of these 15. Eric Allen, the corner. Jared Allen, defensive end. Willie Anderson, tackle. The former Packer great for 1 year, Jari Evans, guard. Antonio Gates, tight end. Torrey Holt, wide receiver. Luke Kuechly, linebacker. Eli Manning, quarterback. Steve Smith, wide receiver. Terrell Suggs, outside linebacker, defensive end. Fred Taylor, running back, Jaguars. Adam Vinatieri, Reggie Wayne, wideout. Darren Woodson, and Marshall Yanda. So those are your modern finalists. Who you got?
Gosh, there's a lot of good ones.
I will say the Peter King thing just threw a wrench in my picks.
Yeah.
It threw a wrench in mine.
Gates and Kuechly and Vinatieri are for sure in.
Ooh, going for sure with a kicker on a first ballot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Odds are looking good for Vinatieri. After that, I would think Jared Allen would have gotten in by now, and he keeps not quite getting in.
Well, remember, it took Kevin Green a long time, and he's 3rd in all-time sacks.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of wondering. I think they find a way to get to 5 because it feels odd that they're going to stop at 3. So I will take Jari Evans.
The former Packer.
Yes.
Put the name on the facade. He's going to have 3 Packers in the Hall of Fame this week.
Yeah, here we go. And I'm going to go. Oh,
would you have gone Eli if Peter King didn't say that?
Maybe. I'm still really hesitant on him. I don't know. I can't quite get there. Willie Anderson. Let's go.
Okay. I had Eli in mind. I'm changing it now though and that might be a mistake, but gosh, then the more you think of it, like the common sense ones, how many times have they gotten common sense right? And it's, I don't know. So Antonio Gates gets in. I thought he was going to get in last year. He gets in this year. Steve Smith, I thought would have been in a while ago. So I'm going to go Steve Smith too, wide receiver. Because you look at his numbers, they match up with everybody else that's in the Hall of Fame, receiving wise and such. I am going to go Luke Kuechly as well. I think, shorter career, mostly because of the concussions and such. But when he was out there, I think you have to answer the question, was he the best at his position at a certain point in time? And he was a couple times.
Yes.
So Luke Kuechly's in. This is where I struggle now because I got my 3 that I think are going, and I've gone back and forth on this thing. I will go Adam Vinatieri because I think they answer the question, can you write the history of football without this person? And Vinatieri's got too many moments where you can't, right? Too many moments. So I'll go Vinatieri gets in. I am going to go, I'm down to 2. I'll go Terrell Suggs, but I'm not confident in it. I'll tell you who it's between. It's Suggs or Torrey Holt for me. Because at some point, Torrey Holt's going to get in. At some point, Reggie Wayne's going to get in. These wide receivers wait how many times? I think Jared Allen should have been in, but I keep thinking of the Kevin Green effect sort of thing. And gosh, that's why I don't want to pick Terrell Suggs either. But
yeah, I'm in the same boat with Suggs and Jared Allen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those two. I'll go with Suggs just because he does have more career sacks than Jared Allen. But Kevin Green's still 3rd on that all-time list, and look how long it took him. But he always had the knock that he couldn't do anything else besides rush the passer. So, all right, let's do the senior finalists over here. Let me bring it back up here because where did my page go? Here we go. So we've got. By the way, they each have to earn 80% of the vote for the modern ones. So, but I agree with you. Get 5 in. You should always max out. You don't want to create a logjam. You don't have to years later. What they did with the wide receivers, right? So 5 so senior category finalists. Maxie Bond, Sterling Sharp, Jim Trier. Coach finalist, just 1, Mike Holmgren. Contributor finalist, just 1, Ralph Hay. You can only pick 3 out of these 5, a minimum of 1, a max of 3. Who you got?
I'm going Holmgren and Sharp. I think Hay probably should be in given his importance to the beginnings of the game. But yeah, I think
you're only going to go 2.
Yeah, I'm only going to go 2. I think it'll just be Holmgren and Sharp.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh, you threw me for a loop there. I thought you'd go 3.
No, I'm just going to go 2 on this one.
You chicken, come on.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Pop.
I am going to go. I'll say this. I am nervous about Holmgren and Sharp both getting in. I feel like, if you play the odds, one of them's going to at least get in. My concern is, and I hope they don't think of this, my concern is, would they sit there and say, we're not going to put 2 Packers in?
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Are they going to sit there like, no, we're not going to do 2 Green Bay Packers this year? Because wasn't that always kind of like the Kramer thing that everybody's saying, oh, there's too many Packers in already?
Yeah. Of course, it's a different era, too.
It is. But so that makes me nervous. But I'll go with those 2 because I'm picking with my heart on this. And I'll go with Ralph Hay getting in, so they get 3, the co-founder of the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's my 3.
Okay. Seems decent.
Yeah. I just feel like if Sharp doesn't get in this year, he's got a really good shot at next year for finalists again. I get nervous about Holmgren because of the other coaches kind of waiting their turn. Because I feel like Mike Shanahan's going to get in there. He's got 2 titles. I feel like Tom Coughlin's going to get in there. He's got 2 titles. Those guys are going to get in. I feel like those guys and Holmgren should be in before some of the coaches that are already been in. They don't need to go down that path again.
Yeah.
But
so if it's one or the other, Holmgren or Sharp, who is the better shot at getting in?
I think it's going to be Holmgren.
Okay.
I mean, Sharp's candidacy has just skyrocketed the last couple of years, right? I mean, he wasn't even mentioned as a finalist, but the last couple of years, it just skyrocketed. And good, I think it should. I think it's a lot of it is just that narrative is changing, that if these guys have had shorter careers and if it even if it's not due to injury, like Patrick Willis made it last year, and he only played 7 years.
I know it's making it more likely that.
And I think they're just realizing, okay, if that dude was good and he was Hall of Fame worthy when he was playing, let's get him in. So that narrative has changed quite a bit, and it's has skyrocketed. So because it was always like, oh, Sharp would be in if he didn't get hurt. I mean, this is the first time he's been in the top 15 or this final stage right now. So I hope he gets in. I think he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Holmgren's kind of been on that constant plane, that constant trend. I feel like he'd have the better shot to get in this year.
Yeah.
But I hope they continue. I just hope that they do 3. I hate log jams. I hate, we're only going to do 3 and 2, but then you're pushing it back for everybody else.
Right. It's not going to stop. There's going to be more.
Yeah. Yep.
So hopefully so. I'm hoping it's 8 total for that reason, which and I know you shouldn't just fill, but I think there are enough worthy choices out there. So
yeah, if they're worthy, if they are Hall of Fame, get them in. But don't get in people just because you feel like you have to have somebody in.
That's not good.
No.
That's not a Hall of Famer. That's
a Hall of Good.
Right. The Hall of Very Good, as it's called. Yeah. We don't want that.
Yeah. Man, but I was ready to put Eli in there, man. But listening to Peter, it kind of changed my mind a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Like he had 2 excellent moments.
Mm-hmm.
But they were very excellent moments. I mean, given what he did, he was an integral part of those victories.
We talk about it a lot for baseball and such, but I mean, he's all over the place right now, right? I mean, the PR image of Eli Manning is sky high.
Yeah.
Does that factor in with voting?
And again, it's not supposed to.
It's not, but
Manning cast.
Yeah. Or Pro Bowl or the kick of whatever he's doing this weekend.
Does that? I mean, it's almost like it's a campaign, kind of like the
Heisman sort of thing.
Well, and kind of like Beyonce showing up at halftime of the Christmas games, right when the Grammy voting is happening. I mean, look, Cowboy Carter would have won Album of the Year anyway, but the timing to kind of come out of nowhere to do that big thing, and it got a lot of buzz. It's a campaign. If you know people are voting, you're trying to influence them.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's part of that going on with Manning as well.
The thing is like if he already knows, I'd hate that because if you know you don't make it, and then you got to sit through an award ceremony knowing you're not going to make it. I hate that feeling.
So, like, how many of them know right now?
I think they all know because now they do those videos.
How does that not leak?
That's very good because remember when Butler got it, Woodson showed up to his house and knocked on the door, and they made that video.
Yeah.
Where it used to be they're all sitting in a hotel room waiting for the knock on their door. So you couldn't leak it. So kudos to those peeps for not leaking it for however long they knew about it.
Gosh, I would think we would know by someone somewhere would say something.
Yeah, but they don't. So that's pretty impressive. I kind of missed the what was the former president's name? Peter, I think Pete, the big guy. Would go knock on the hotel door.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty cool.
Those videos were awesome.
Yeah.
So
go back to that. That's okay.
I agree.
mean, different guy, but they can do something like that.
Get in the room today, all day, and do your voting, or tomorrow, or whatever it is. So, All right. That's it for us. DP Dance are up next. Have a good Wednesday. We're back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.